Hello folks, very warm welcome to another video here in the Microsoft Sim. I hope that you are fighting fit as you watch this, as opposed to fighting. Although if you are fighting, I hope you're fighting a just cause. I hope you're fighting for the good guys. Sometimes you need to check whether you're on the side of the goodies or the baddies, don't you? Folks, welcome to another video and welcome back to this aeroplane. This is, of course, the HondaJet, recently updated in the marketplace, as we get a shot of the armpit and the well chiseled back of our ramp assistant here in a little place that you may have heard of called Kabul, Afghanistan. Yes, folks, we're in this part of the world. I rarely fly in this part of the world, so I thought, why not? That's a good enough reason. I don't get here very often, so let's get here. Let's check out the update. That guy just seems to want to be in every shot. Anyway, folks, we're going to go on, I was going to say a test flight. Not really. What I typically do after updates in aircraft is that I make these videos where I take them up for a spin, go through, learn what the changes have been in the most recent release, and share those with you in about a 20 or 25 minute experience, and that's what I'm going to do today. So if you're looking for the changelog for version 1.0.4, which is what you're seeing in this video, there will be a a timestamp in the description of YouTube, and you'll be able to jump straight to that part. Otherwise, if you're interested in the full Flying Dad experience, and I don't know why you would be, you'd have to be a little bit desperate, a little bit sad, but anyway, welcome. If that's you, if I can help scratch an itch or satisfy you in some way, make a nice change, wouldn't it, Jude? Speaking of being unsatisfied, there she is, once again joining me. Folks, let's fire up a little nav map. You know where we are. What you don't know yet is where we're going. Alright, folks, begin our journey in Kabul as mentioned, and we're going to basically hug the Himalayas on our way down to a little place you may have heard of called Kathmandu, Nepal. Flight of around about just under 1,000 nautical miles, so a nice leg stretcher for the HondaJet. Should take us around about 3 hours, according to little nav map up here. Although, little nav map, it's pretty accurate based on the current sort of weather that it's downloaded and whatever. I'm finding that there is some variation. I'm having some issues downloading live weather into this thing. I keep getting message to say that it can't get it from NOAA, the whatever it is, NOAA, as opposed to NOAH. No, it's not trying to go back whatever it was, 6,000 years in time and contact the fella with the boat. No, NOAA, NOAA. Anyway, getting some error messages around that. So I take the forecast here of 2 hours and 48 with a grain of salt. But basically 1,000 nautical miles in the HondaJet en route. We'll have a look at the changelog for the aircraft. It is quite extensive at first glance, and see how this aeroplane flies. I'm enjoying this one, this aeroplane. The more I fly it, has got some issues, and I believe it's still got some issues. Just briefly browsing the developers Discord. So there's another update in the works, but you're going to see 1.0.4 today. Let me start it up and let's go flying. Okay, so I've got power happening to the aeroplane. First thing I notice is our flight plan's completely gone. The one I selected in the the sim flight planner thing hasn't come across. No idea why. What I'm going to have to do is plug it in manually, I'm guessing. I'll try and restart the flight. No, I'll just plug it in. Although that's a bloody hell, I've got a whole bunch of waypoints. So though, is that a bug? I can only assume that it is. I remember it used to work. Anyway, folks, we're off to a bit of a rough start here. I'll get a flight plan plugged in to this beast, then try and start it, then try and go for a fly. Alright, that was an interesting experience. having to plug in a flight plan manually. The horror of it all. Beautiful looking terrain here. Hostile in so many ways. Afghanistan, bloody hell. What a history of bloody disaster. A history of suffering for the local population. Anyway, folks, we have got ourselves to the holding point, runway 29. This is a custom version of Kabul Airport, although it hasn't been updated in a while. And I also think there are issues with the mesh. I'm running the Orbex Himalaya mesh, but it's known to have issues. Plus, it's an older custom airport, and yeah, she was a bumpy old ride along the taxiway. Although that may be authentic, I was almost expecting to see some rather large craters being Kabul. I don't say any of this lightly, folks. I think it's I cannot think of a word at the moment to describe what I think about the whole Afghanistan situation, war on terror, etc. Anyway, that's a beautiful view. We're here to fly an aeroplane. Runway 29 holding point. Let's move. We're at almost 6,000 feet here in Kabul. Going to be departing runway 29, funnily enough, considering that's where we are. Needs a fair bit of juice to get ourselves moving, doesn't it, this aeroplane? Flight level 370 plugged in. Going to hug the Himalayas. Hopefully the weather stays beautiful and severe clear, and we get to see something. 210 plugged into our speed. We've got our flap set. We've got our trims in the green. We've got our V speeds plugged in. There is a known issue with the CG when you load you're planning the flight and you're doing the whole payload fuel thing, and all your sliders and stuff. Your CG will appear way out of whack. The developer has acknowledged that and is going to address it in a subsequent update, although apparently the CG is actually okay despite what you see on that screen. Heading bug aligned, so we're going to take we're going to go straight out, turn left before we hit the hills, and basically go straight towards, we won't follow the flight plan exactly, we're going to probably skip it towards let me jump downstairs. What is the name of that? It's a VOR. Is that Peshawar? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. It's basically just VORs all the way today. I don't know what's going on here. Please delete the active plan. Not after all the work I spent in putting it. I don't care what you say, pal. I think we're pretty much good to go. Lights are all automatic and stuff here. So we're looking at a V1 of 110, rotate of 115. Let's do it, folks. That's a beautiful view out the front. Takeoff power is set. Here we go, nice acceleration. That's just a stunning view. I could end the flight here and die a happy man. Well, I don't think I really want to die in Afghanistan. I don't want to die anywhere. Just today, it's be a little bit inconvenient. Righto, 110, look at 115 rotate, which is about there, let's go. Nice gentle rotation, not exactly the most perfect rotation, but anyway. Positive rate gear can come up. And we'll see if the pitchy bobbiness that was a part of this original release is still there. It feels a lot more stable so far. We get flaps coming in. Let's see what happens. We got a big pitch up there. I'll retrim. About 10 degrees. Oh, she feels a lot more stable. Your damper automatically comes on. Once we get to about 7,000 feet, we'll begin that left-hand turn. Climbing at 2,100 feet a minute, we'll be at 7,000 feet very quickly. Continuing to accelerate, we're going to go back into MCT on the thrust. There's 7,000 feet. We begin that left-hand turn. Oh, she feels really steady. Beautiful. So I'm guessing a flight dynamic change or changes have been made in the update. We will check that out en route, folks. As I said earlier, there will be a link, a timestamp that will take you straight to that part if that's all you're interested in seeing. I won't hold it against you. I know the average watch time of the videos. Well, I do have some absolute diehards that, and I very much appreciate them. People who watch every second of my nonsense that I post to YouTube, and a shout out to you all. And as I said, very much appreciative that you're able to stay the course. We'll continue that left-hand turn. I probably wanted to climb out about 210 up through 9,000 feet now. Alright, so we'll just kind of roll out onto a heading of around about 120 as an intercept. She's very stable. Very stable. Yeah, roll out to about 120. We'll kick Georgie in. Let him do some flying. That'll do us at the moment. Now, we need to activate Flight Director, I understand, for the autopilot to work. So, Flight Director's up here. Heading select, and we're going to go autopilot. Flight level change. 218 knots, yeah, well, we'll just go at 220. Heading hold, please. And we'll come downstairs and go direct to that VOR. Activate that one, come back out here, nav mode. Take up the magenta as we go outside. New livery that's been added by the dev. Oh, that's a stunning view. Look at that. Overhead Kabul. Yeah, new livery, a couple of new liveries have been added by the developer. And there are some further liveries available on the .to as well. That's gorgeous. Look at that. Lovely. Folks, I'll see you during the cruise. We're going to talk about the changelog.
Hello again, folks. From the flight deck, your Capitan speaking. We are high above the Himalayas, folks. We're in Indian airspace. We're in northern India. Over in sort of that direction is a place that you may be familiar with, a place called Dharamsala, where the Dalai Lama calls home. The weather has been beautiful, absolutely stunning. We've got a nice sort of tailwind to boot, and things are just going swimmingly well. Really enjoying it. The aeroplane is performing beautifully, really solid in all aspects is the best way I can describe it at this point in terms of handling. But let's take this opportunity to have a look at the changelog for version 1.0.4. And here is said changelog. Now, I copied this from Discord. I think from the dev's Discord channel. I think. Had a little bit of trouble sort of finding it. Like, by the time this video actually makes it to YouTube, maybe this changelog is available elsewhere. But I got it from Discord. And I think this is the official changelog. I'm going to assume that it is. Anyway, it's quite a decent document, right? There's quite a lot to it. I won't go through every single line. I'll call out what sort of calls my attention, as I typically do in these videos. Yeah, if you want to look at it in detail yourself, you're probably going to need to go to Discord, or, as I said, perhaps it's been posted to forums or elsewhere by the time this video hits the channel. Anyway, autopilot and navigation is the first group of changes. He's rewritten the VNAV logic for improved performance. That's great. Improved VNAV altitude capture logic. Fantastic for those of you that are into the whole VNAV thing. VNAV approach altitude restrictions now automatically loaded, all that sort of stuff. Top of climb is now calculated based on aircraft current trajectory in relation to the outcell altitude. All very nice. There's some stuff that's now happening in the VSD around constraints. That's great. Rewritten AP modes logic for more consistency. I've got to say, autopilot is behaving beautifully during this flight to date. Code and performance optimizations for VNAV draw code. We're always happy to hear that. Improved tracking of glide slope and glide path and localizer. I'm not sure I'm going to fly an instrument approach into Kathmandu unless I absolutely have to. But that's great to know. Autopilot modes, key bindings, landing field elevation is now automatically populated. That would explain something I noticed on the display. Okay, good. Autopilot does not follow nav if active is nav 2. I haven't experienced that. Alt capture, VS activation will capture the current aircraft vertical speed. It's always handy. CSC will now engage more reliably. Yes, I can confirm that. I had issues with that in the previous release. CSC mode, the poor man's auto throttle. No problems at all during this flight. Gyro drift on sync heading. Okay. Autopilot mode's no longer switching off when flight director is off. Okay. So systems, this is the stuff that matters to some people that are not me as much. I appreciate the work that goes into it, and I appreciate that people do find this valuable. I'm going to skip through it just because it's not high priority. For me, this stuff, flight model, matters. Tweak ground effect now is less during landing. We'll see when we get to Kathmandu. It's been noticeable that this thing has, in previous release, had, the floaties. Revised flight dynamics, especially pitch stability. Yes, can confirm. Adjusted flaps pitch moment for smoother takeoffs and landings. Yep. Aircraft now forces modern flight model. Ah, okay. Good. Miscellaneous corrected the config entry for adding V. Okay, whatever. Yep, correction to the language in the marketplace saying it needs the working title G3000. It does not. Inability to disengage the flight director. Okay. Overspeed stress limits. Okay. Adjusted Xbox incremental throttle adjustment. Added deliveries. Yep, I'm flying with that one, the Aerosaur. And fixed modelling issues causing raccoon mask to not show up in liveries. What the hell's a raccoon mask? Is that the oxygen mask? Okay. So, I appreciate this stuff here. In particular, the flight model. And, the autopilot navigation sort of also is related to that. Appreciate all the work. Quite a big update, isn't it? And there is more. The developer does recognise that there are some things still to fix. So anyway, that's the changelog for version 1.0.4 featured in this video. I will next see you for an approach into Kathmandu. Alright, this has been my view for the majority of the flight, folks. Beautiful. Sitting here in the cabin right alongside the left wing. Gorgeous weather. Let's jump in front. Let's start a descent, hey? Let's make this thing happen. Vertical speed, let's do it. Come off the power. Ground speed of about 400. Probably need to increase that rate of descent a little bit, I would think. Get us down to flight level 210 by the Samara VOR is the plan. Although our banana's saying we won't make it. And let's dial in a higher vertical speed, vertical rate of descent. And then from that VOR, we've got a left dog leg direct to Kathmandu, where we are expecting to land on runway 2, I think. Waypoint info. Runways, 20 and 02. Nice long surface for us. Elevation 4358. That's been plugged in. I mentioned that in the changelog segment. The aircraft now tells you what the landing field elevation is. Displays it here on the MFD for you. Okay, so 02 would be the plan. I keep getting that active thing. We've got an arrival plugged in, but what does that actually look like? I don't know. We're just gonna go direct. I keep getting that warning. In fact, what we might do? We might take a shortcut. We will take a shortcut. It's been quite a long flight. It's going to be pushing probably 2 hours 40 by the time we touch down. So what we might do is sort of turn left, Georgie, about. Let's head around about 070. What do you reckon? Here we go. We get some. I think they call it track shortening, don't they? So we are 65 miles from Kathmandu, And we're at flight level 320. We are going to be a little high. We're going to need to increase that rate of descent considerably. We had expected to go via the VOR, but me being me and improvising just about everything, I've decided to make my life a little bit more challenging, and the flight, therefore the video, a little bit shorter. Anyway, folks, I'll get us down there. That's the plan. Well, there's a lot of hills in front of us, isn't there? Hey, fantastic display. This synthetic terrain stuff comes in pretty handy in this part of the world. I'll get us down to Kathmandu and rejoin you for the final stages of the approach. Okay, folks, final approach, runway 02 Kathmandu. Visual approach in marginal VFR conditions, and we are coming in hot. We're going to be in a little bit of trouble. I do have the runway in sight. We are absolutely screaming down final here. Having a little bit of trouble. Probably should have planned an instrument approach. Speed is coming back now, 125. We've got our VAP and our VREF plugged in. VREF's just below 100. Here we go. Light northeasterly breeze, runway 02. Getting some more power in, we're actually going to get a little bit slow. Once you get full flap out, you're good. We're actually going to get real slow here. We're getting a bit behind the curve. Considerable power injection required. There. Oh. Very, very ordinary approach. Runway 02. Now we have to sort of bring it back because we're going to be a little bit quick. See how we go here. Coming back on speed. We'll sort of cut the power and go into a flare. And get it on ish. Get it on ish. There we go. Not too bad in the end. A little bit off center line. Look, I'll take that. That wasn't a particularly easy approach. I set that up poorly for myself. Basically made life very difficult for myself unnecessarily. That's the story of my life sometimes. Anyway, folks, that's been a look at version 1.0.4 of the HondaJet. Thanks for your company in another video. Thanks to everyone for your support. Subscribers, viewers, lurkers, whatever you like to call yourself. Do appreciate it. We will see you in a future video. Stay well, keep enjoying your simming, and bye for now.